We will begin the press conference with Foreign Minister Hayashi. The floor is yours. Thank you. One issue at the top from myself. From the 17th of July until today, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal, Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, is visiting Japan. Earlier today, Prince Faisal made a courtesy call to Prime Minister Kishida. I will soon be having a meeting followed by a working lunch with the Foreign Minister, where we plan to discuss such matters as further strengthening the Japan-Saudi Arabia relations, cooperation in international fora in light of the situation in Ukraine, and cooperation for the stabilization of the global crude market. Under the Japan-Saudi Vision 2030, our two nations are promoting cooperation in extensive areas, including energy. Through Prince Faisal's visit to Japan, we hope to further solidify our favorable ties. That concludes my opening remarks. We now proceed to the Q&A session. Those of you who have questions, raise your hand, and when appointed, please come to the closest microphone and identify yourself and your affiliation. Aoki-san of Mainichi Newspaper. Aoki of Mainichi Newspaper, thank you for this opportunity. I have a question with regards to yesterday's Foreign Ministers' meeting between Japan and ROK. And it seems that Foreign Minister Park mentioned that he will be making efforts to reach a desirable resolution prior to the liquidation of assets regarding the former civilian workers from the Korean Peninsula. Minister, how did you respond to that comment? Can you share with us your self-assessment on that comment made by Foreign Minister Park? Yesterday on the 18th from around 4 p.m. for approximately 2.5 hours, I had a meeting and working dinner with Foreign Minister Park Jin. At the opening of the meeting, Minister Park offered his heartfelt condolences to the loss of former Prime Minister Abe, and I extended my gratitude to Minister Park's sympathies. In light of the current strategic environment, Minister Park and I agreed on the recognition that the progress of cooperation between Japan and ROK and Japan-ROK-US cooperation is ever more important. We also agreed on the condemnation of Russia's aggression of Ukraine. We confirmed further partnership in response to North Korea, and I again gained support from Minister Park on his cooperation in the abduction issue. I mentioned that it is necessary to further develop the Japan-ROK relationship based upon the platform of cooperative cooperations between our two countries that has been built since normalization in 1965. And to do that, we need to resolve the pending issues between our two countries, including the former civilian workers from the Korean Peninsula. And Minister Park said that he will make efforts to secure desirable resolution prior to the liquidation of assets, and receiving his comment, we agreed for early resolution of this issue. Myself and Minister Park agreed to further expedite the consultations between our two countries.
Any other questions? Yes, from Asahi Shimbun. I'm from Asahi Shimbun. About the previous question, I have 2 points. As was mentioned in the previous question, to make efforts, it was mentioned how to evaluate this comment. And the Japanese government was also saying that if liquidation of assets happen, Japan-ROK relationship might end up being a serious situation. Did you communicate that message in yesterday's talks? Yes. First, on the issue of the former civilian workers from the Korean Peninsula, if assets are liquidated, that will cause a serious situation to the Japan-South Korea relationship, so this is something that must be avoided. We have been repeatedly communicated this message to South Korea. I'm not referring to the details of discussions that we had yesterday, but on this workers' issue, Mr. Park mentions that he'll make efforts to reach a desirable solution before liquidation assets happens, and on top of that, we have agreed to reach an early solution to this issue. And going forward, we will identify the measures taken by the new administration so that we can recover the Japan-Arab relations to a healthy situation and have close communications with South Korea. And as for the evaluation, as I have already mentioned, this issue, if liquidation assets happen, Japan-Arab relationship will enter into a serious situation, so this is something that must be avoided. I have repeatedly communicated this message to South Korea so far. As for the details of yesterday's meeting, I will not mention the details, but on this issue, Mr. Park mentions that he'll make efforts to reach a desirable solution before assets are liquidated, and also we agreed that this issue must be resolved at an early stage.
Next question. Maeda-san of Kyodo Press. Maeda of Kyodo News. On the former civilian workers from the peninsula, I have a question on further consultations. You said that the two of you agreed on early resolution, but President Yoon said that he will seek comprehensive resolution, including the issues. But is the position of Japan to engage in comprehensive consultations, including this issue and other issues? Thank you. I will refrain from making detailed comments on each of the comments made from the ROK side, but at any rate, in order to restore the bilateral ties to a healthy state, based upon the consistent position of the Japanese government, we intend to engage in close communication with the Yoon government.
So, as time is limited, we'd like to receive the final question. Maeda-san from Kyodo Tsushin. Maeda from Kyodo. In the meeting yesterday, I would like to ask questions about other discussions besides the issue of civilian workers, like a former cohort women and the radio radiation insomnia, maritime survey at Takeshima and others. What did you communicate to them about those issues? As for the general situation of Japan's South Korea relationship, we discussed also the issues of comfort women and the Alps treated water. On these issues as well, I firmly communicated Japan's position. So since there is another schedule after this concludes the press conference. Thank you very much.